The forest of blackthorn was forbidden after sunset. Every child in the nearby village grew up hearing the same warning. Never cross the stone bridge at night. Never follow the whispers. And never, under any circumstances, go near the ruins where the demon lives. Isla knew all the stories. She had heard them since childhood, but fear felt small compared to desperation. Her mother was dying. The healer had said the only thing that could slow the curse in her veins was night bloom, a rare flower that bloomed only under a full moon, deep inside Blackthorn Forest. The same forest ruled by darkness. The same forest haunted by a demon no one had ever seen and lived to describe. So Isla crossed the bridge anyway. The moon hung low in the sky, pale and watchful, as if it too feared what lay ahead. Every step she took into the forest felt heavier than the last. The air was colder here, unnaturally so, and the shadows seemed to stretch and twist like living things. She clutched her cloak tighter and whispered a small prayer. That was when the whispers began. Not voices exactly, more like echoes of pain, regret, and rage woven into the wind. Isla's heart pounded, but she forced herself to keep moving. She couldn't turn back. Not now. She found the night bloom near the old stone ruins, glowing faintly silver against the darkness. Relief flooded her chest. She knelt, reaching out carefully, and the ground trembled. A deep, guttural growl rolled to the forest, vibrating through her bones. The temperature dropped sharply, frost creeping along the stones. Isla froze. From the shadows behind the ruins, something moved. Tall, too tall. The darkness itself seemed to peel away, revealing a figure formed from shadow and smoke. Massive black wings unfolded slowly, stretching wide enough to block the moonlight. Curved horns rose from his head, etched with ancient runes that pulsed faintly red. His eyes opened, glowing crimson. The demon of Blackthorn had found her. Kale had waited centuries for this moment. Another foolish human, another soul brave or stupid, enough to trespass into his domain. His claws flexed as he stepped forward, boots crushing stone beneath his weight. He could smell her fear, sharp and sweet, filling the air. Humans always screamed. They begged. They ran. Kale raised his hand, dark magic coiling around his fingers, ready to end her life in a single breath. But the girl didn't scream. She turned slowly, standing up to face him. Her hands shook, her face pale, but her eyes, wide, warm, and painfully human, locked onto his. "I'm sorry," she said softly. The words hit him harder than any blade. "I didn't come to hurt you," she continued, voice trembling but steady. I needed the flower." Kale hesitated. It was a mistake. Demons did not hesitate. They destroyed. Yet something about her voice, raw with fear but layered with kindness, made the magic around his hand flicker. "You know what I am," he growled, his voice like thunder rolling through stone. "You should be running." "I know," Isla whispered. "But if I don't take this, my mother will die." Silence fell between them. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Kale looked at her more closely now. She was fragile, painfully so. Dirt smudged her cheek, her cloak torn at the hem. She wasn't a warrior. She wasn't a mage. Just a girl carrying too much responsibility on her shoulders. Humans had shown him nothing but cruelty for centuries. They hunted him, chained him, tried to bend his power to their will. His hatred had grown deep and sharp, turning him into the monster they feared. And yet, this girl stood before him, knowing he could kill her, and still chose honesty over lies. "Take it," he said suddenly. Isla blinked. "W what?" "The flower," Kale repeated, lowering his hand. "Take it, then leave. Never return." She stared at him, disbelief flooding her face. Slowly, carefully, she picked the night bloom and held it close to her chest. "Thank you," she breathed. The word burned. Kale turned away, his wings folding back into shadow. He didn't understand why he had spared her. He didn't want to understand. As Isla took a step back, then another, she paused. "You're lonely," she said quietly. Kale stiffened. "No one comes here unless they're desperate," she continued. "That must mean you've been alone for a very long time." Anger surged through him. "Leave," he snapped. She nodded, backing away toward the trees. But before she disappeared into the darkness, she looked back one last time. "I'm Isla," she said. "If I survive, I'll remember you didn't kill me." Then she was gone. Kale stood among the ruins long after her footsteps faded. The forest slowly returned to its unnatural silence. But something inside him had shifted. For the first time in centuries, the darkness felt heavier, because somewhere deep within his cursed heart, a dangerous thought had taken root. What if she came back? Isla told herself she would never return to Blackthorn Forest. She repeated it every morning as she crushed herbs, every night as she watched her mother sleep more peacefully than she had in weeks. The night bloom had worked, slowly, gently, but enough to keep death at bay. And yet, each time Isla closed her eyes, she saw crimson eyes glowing in the dark. She saw a demon who could have killed her and didn't. 3 nights passed, then 4. On the 5th night, Isla found herself standing at the edge of the stone bridge again, the forest breathing shadows beyond it. Fear twisted in her stomach, but something stronger pulled her forward. Guilt, perhaps, curiosity, or something far more dangerous. She crossed. Kale sensed her before he saw her. The forest whispered to him, roots shifting, air trembling, shadows bending unnaturally. His wings unfolded in irritation as he rose from the ruins. He expected a hunter, a priest, a mage with holy fire. Instead, he saw her. Isla stepped into the moonlight, empty-handed, her cloak wrapped tightly around her small frame. Her heart hammered so loudly she was sure he could hear it. "I said never return," Kale growled, emerging from the darkness. "I know," she replied. "I just wanted to thank you. Properly. Demons did not receive thanks." Kale's eyes narrowed. "You risk your life for words?" "Yes," she said simply. "Some things deserve that." She placed a small bundle on the stone near the ruins and stepped back. Kale watched cautiously as she unwrapped it. Fresh bread, still warm, and a small vial of honey. "I don't know what demons eat," she admitted, embarrassed. "But humans share food when they're grateful." Something twisted painfully in Kale's chest. He had been starved once, not of food, but of kindness. Locked in iron chains, fed scraps. Studied like an animal. The memory clawed at him. "Leave it," he said quietly. Isla nodded and sat a few steps away, keeping her distance. Silence stretched between them, heavy but not hostile. "Why you stay here?" she asked after a while. Kale laughed, low and bitter. "Because this forest is my prison, and my punishment." He told her fragments, never the whole truth. How demons who questioned their kind were exiled. How love was forbidden, weakness despised. How his power came at the cost of eternal solitude. Isla listened, truly listened. "You don't sound like a monster," she said. "I am," Kale replied. "I've killed." "So have soldiers," she said gently. "So have kings. That doesn't erase who you are now." Her words unsettled him more than hatred ever could. Night after night, she returned. Sometimes she spoke. Sometimes she simply sat nearby, humming softly while he watched from shadows. Kale found himself waiting for her footsteps, counting the hours until moonrise. He hated it. He hated the way her laughter warmed the cold air. He hated the way her presence softened the sharp edges of his rage. Most of all, he hated how easily she made him forget he was a demon. One night, a storm tore through the forest. Rain fell hard, soaking Isla's cloak as thunder split the sky. She slipped on wet stone, crying out as she fell. Kale moved without thinking. He caught her, his hand wrapped around her wrist, strong and burning hot. For a heartbeat, they were impossibly close. Isla's breath caught, her face inches from his chest. She could feel the power radiating from him, dark and overwhelming, and beneath it, something unsteady. Kale released her instantly, stepping back as if burned. "I should not touch you," he said harshly. "This is dangerous." "For me?" she asked softly. "For both of us." But neither of them moved away. Isla reached out slowly, giving him time to stop her. When her fingers brushed his clawed hand, she didn't pull back. The contact was brief, electric. Kale's magic surged violently, shadows flaring around him. "Go!" he ordered, his voice strained. If you stay, I will lose control. Isla hesitated. Then she nodded, fear and sadness mingling in her eyes. Before leaving, she spoke the words that would haunt him long after she was gone. You don't scare me, Kale, but the world that made you does. That night, Kale tore through the forest in fury. Trees splintered, stone shattered. Demons were not meant to feel this way. This pull, this ache, this terrifying need. Far away, in the infernal realm, ancient eyes opened. The elders had felt it. A demon's power shifting, a heart awakening. And love, they knew, was the greatest betrayal of all. The demon realm did not sleep. Beneath the roots of worlds, beyond fire and shadow, the elders gathered in a throne hall carved from obsidian and bone. The air trembled with ancient power as crimson flames rose without heat. They had felt it, a shift in Kale's essence, a fracture in something that should never bend. His darkness wavers. One elder hissed. Worse, another replied. It warms. Love. The word was not spoken aloud, but it poisoned the chamber all the same. Send the hounds. The high elder commanded. If the human girl lives, Kale must fall. Isla sensed it before Kale ever spoke a warning. The forest felt wrong. Birds no longer sang at dusk. The wind carried a metallic scent, sharp and burning. Even the shadows felt restless, stretching unnaturally across the ground. When she reached the ruins, Kale was already there, pacing like a caged beast, wings flared, runes along his horns glowing violently red. You should not have come, he said the moment he saw her. Something in his voice made her chest tighten. What's happening? They know, he answered. About you. About us. Isla swallowed. Us. The word hung between them, fragile and dangerous. There is no us, Kale snapped, then turned away, fists clenched. There cannot be. Isla stepped closer. You don't get to decide that alone. Kale laughed bitterly. You don't understand what you're standing against. Demons who defy their kind are erased. Slowly, painfully. Then run, she said. Come with me. The idea struck him like a blade. Run. Abandon his prison, his power, his curse. Before he could answer, the forest screamed. The ground split open as three massive figures emerged. Demonic hounds formed of ash and fire, eyes burning with hunger. Their chains dragged across the earth, etched with binding spells older than time. Kale moved instantly, shadow magic exploding outward. Stay behind me, he roared. The first hound lunged. Kale tore it apart with raw darkness, but the second clamped its jaws around his wing, dragging him to one knee. Isla screamed his name. Without thinking, she grabbed a fallen shard of glowing stone and drove it into the hound's eye. The creature howled, collapsing into smoke. Kale stared at her in horror. I told you to run. I won't, she cried back. Not anymore. The third hound hesitated, then retreated, dissolving into shadow. Silence fell, broken only by Kale's ragged breathing. Blood, dark and shimmering, dripped from his wing. Isla rushed to him, hands trembling as she pressed her cloak against the wound. You're hurt. I am a demon, he said weakly. I heal. But he didn't pull away. Her touch grounded him, soothed the violent storm raging inside his chest. He realized in the truth he had been denying. This wasn't curiosity. This wasn't mercy. This was love, and it would destroy them both. They will come again, Kale said quietly. Next time, not with hounds. Isla met his gaze. Then we face it together. No, he said fiercely. I won't let you die for my sin. Loving you isn't a sin, she replied. If it is, then I'll share the punishment. Kale closed his eyes. For centuries, he had endured pain alone. Now, for the first time, someone chose him, fully knowingly. He kissed her. It was not gentle. It was desperate, forbidden, trembling with everything they were not allowed to be. Dark magic surged violently around them, reacting to the bond forming between demon and human. When they pulled apart, the world felt different, brighter, more fragile, and far away. The demon elders felt it too. The bond had been sealed. The curse awakens, the high elder snarled. prepare the ritual. If Kale will not surrender the girl, we will take her. That night, Isla dreamed of fire and chains. She woke screaming. Shadow hands burst from the ground, wrapping around her limbs, dragging her away before she could cry out again. Kale felt it instantly. Her terror tore through his soul like a blade. He roared, a sound so powerful it shattered the ruins, and unleashed his full demonic form. Wings spread wide, horns blazing, eyes burning brighter than ever before. They took her, he growled to the empty forest, and I will burn realms to get her back. For the first time since his exile, Kale did not fear the demon world. He welcomed the war. Isla woke to fire, not the kind that burned the skin, but the kind that pressed against the soul, heavy, suffocating, ancient. Chains of glowing infernal runes bound her wrists and ankles, lifting her slightly above the obsidian floor. Every breath felt stolen from her lungs. She was in the demon realm. Around her rose towering pillars carved with the screams of the damned. Crimson flames floated in the air like living eyes, watching, judging. At the far end of the hall, seated upon a throne of bone and shadow, were the elders, ancient demons whose power had shaped worlds. One stepped forward, tall and skeletal, its voice echoing inside her head rather than her ears. You are the human who broke him. Isla lifted her chin despite the fear clawing at her chest. I didn't break him. I reminded him he was alive. The elder hissed. Demons do not live. We endure. Another elder circled her slowly. Your existence weakens him. His darkness bends toward light. This cannot be allowed. What will you do to him? Isla demanded. The first elder smiled, a cruel, hollow thing. We will give him a choice. Kale tore through realms like a living catastrophe. No demon had ever stormed the infernal gates alone, but Kale was no longer just a demon. Rage, love, and terror fused inside him, igniting power the elders had long feared. Guards fell before him. Ancient wards shattered under his roar. Shadows bent to his will, opening paths where none should exist. Isla, he called, his voice echoing across the realm. At the heart of the throne hall, he found her, bound, bruised, but alive. The elders turned as one. Kale, the high elder said calmly, you arrived just in time. Kale's wings spread wide, darkness pouring from him like a storm. Release her, now. The elder raised a hand, and the chains tightened. Isla gasped in pain. You will choose, the elder continued. Kill the human, and your power will be restored. Refuse, and you will be stripped of everything you are. Kale's chest heaved. This was the truth of demon law. Love was not punished because it was forbidden, but because it was powerful. He looked at Isla. She met his gaze through the pain and smiled faintly. Whatever you choose, I don't regret loving you. Something inside Kale shattered. No, he whispered. I won't do this anymore. He stepped forward, kneeling before her instead of the throne. I was forged in darkness, he said, voice breaking. But she taught me mercy. If that makes me weak, then I choose weakness. The elders roared in fury. Magic surged violently, tearing through Kale's body. His wings cracked. His horns splintered. The shadows fled from him like frightened beasts. Isla screamed his name. Stop, she cried. Take me instead. But Kale lifted his head, blood, red, not black, running down his face. No, he said softly. I choose her. Always. The bond between them ignited. Golden light burst from Isla's chest, wrapping around Kale, pushing back the infernal flames. The elders staggered as the power clashed violently against their own. What is this? One screamed. Love, Kale growled, rising unsteadily. The thing you buried and feared. With a final surge, the chain shattered. Isla fell into his arms. The throne hall cracked as the realm itself rejected the elders' rule. Pillars collapsed. Flames extinguished. Kale felt the darkness tearing away from him, painful, final. But he did not let go. When the light faded, silence fell. Kale collapsed. Isla held him, sobbing. Stay with me. Please. His body was changing. The horns dissolved into nothing. The wings faded into scars. The shadows no longer obeyed him. Slowly, Cale opened his eyes. They were no longer red. They were human. I'm still here, he whispered. The demon realm screamed in rage behind them as the world began to crumble. But Cale and Isla were already gone, thrown back into the mortal realm by the force of the collapse. They awoke at the edge of Blackthorn Forest. Morning sunlight filtered through the trees, warm and real. Birds sang for the first time in centuries. Cale sat up slowly, staring at his hands. Hands that trembled, bled, and healed like any other man's. I can't feel the darkness, he said quietly. Isla smiled through tears. Do you feel anything else? He looked at her. Love. Fear. Hope. Yes, he breathed. Everything. They left the forest together. The village never knew the truth. They only saw a strange man with haunted eyes and a quiet woman who never let go of his hand. Years passed. Cale learned how to live without power, how to work, to laugh, to feel pain and joy without magic. Isla taught him the beauty of ordinary days, shared meals, sunsets, gentle touches. Sometimes at night, he would wake shaking from dreams of fire. Isla was always there. You're safe, she'd whisper. You're human now. No, he would reply, pulling her closer. I'm loved. And that was enough.